Taking ages. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Room, the podcast brought to you by LFC Transfer Room, and we have got a very special guest on today. Joining me and Daz is Peter Carney, the man behind some of the most famous banners on the cop. Can't wait to get into this one. We'll start with how are you, Daz?
I'm going to go straight to it because I know I've asked you many questions before when you're on my show as well. What was your first banner you've ever made?
The first banner I ever made was a simple bed sheet with LFC on in square letters with a ruler and a pencil marked out with the ruler and the pencil. A yellow bed sheet the day that Liverpool played the FA Cup semi-final against Leicester in 1974. I'd been at the first match at Old Trafford on the Saturday. I was only 15, and didn't have the money or the will to be at the replay. So we sat out the back. I lived next door to a pensioners, block of flats. We sat out the back. It was the end of April, so it was quite light and stuff. And we had the radio on and made a banner. And in fact, we made two. One on the cloth and one on the floor underneath because we didn't put no paper between the cloth and the floor. So when we lifted the banner up, there's LFC underneath on the floor. Yeah, that was the first one, 1974. Something else come to mind to me a little while ago. It doesn't qualify as a banner, but I think it's probably one of the first artworks I ever done. Was a scraper board thing I'd done in school, which must have been 12 months previous to that or 18 months previous to that. And it was basically, it said Liverpool League Champions 1971-72. It obviously, they never won it that year. And it was scraper boards. You'd have black on the top and you scrape the black off and it reveals the white underneath, and it was just done with stencils, plastic stencils you get with the alphabet on, yeah. And that come to mind the other week. I'd forgotten all about that.
Do you still have your first banner?
Pardon?
Do you still have your first banner?
No, God knows what happened to it. I really don't know. It went to Wembley that year. It went to the FA Cup final. I know because I lay on it on the wall at the back of the grounds to watch the match. I really struggled to get a view in the final. I went in on my own, and we were. I just really struggled to get a view. We were at the top of the terrace, and I ended up on the wall at the very back, and I was lay on the banner on my belly, watching the things, like watching it through a post box between the roof of the thing and the pitch below, I mean, it was, I still see it in my mind's eye when I think of it. It was absolutely, to be at Wembley was absolutely fabulous, just so big and open and what have you, like. But yeah, I put the banner on the wall because obviously, excuse me, it's full of dust and what have you, and I lay on the banner to watch the game. But the earliest banner that I've got, I think, is the 1981 banner, which says Allez le Rouge, and it's actually a flag. It was made as a flag. Trying to put the same image on both sides. You can't put the lettering on both sides, like. But it only has one pocket meant to be a flag, and I bought a metal pole to act as the flagpole one. What I was thinking of there, certainly wasn't thinking very clearly, was I? Where to go with a 8-foot metal pole? You know what I mean? Yeah, so the pole never got used. Yeah, so that's probably the oldest banner that I've got. Yeah.
When you made your first one, did you just get the buzz then? Was it just like, I want to just keep making banners for the Reds?
But you know what? Somebody reminded me. No, I can't honestly say that. No, I had this thing about making banners for the match, and somebody reminded me last week. I was doing a write-up. Somebody asked for about me the away match that got me hooked on following Liverpool. Well, I ended up writing about Leeds 72, but I was intending to write about Wolves 1976, and I phoned all the lads and this, that, and the other. And one of the lads said to me, "We got in the ground by a flag, a Union Jack. We had a Union Jack, and it's got bigger over the years. I think in reality it must have been about 20 foot long, but as the years have gone by, in my mind, it's now 40 foot long. You know." But what happened was, because there was that many down there and you couldn't get in and what have you, we ended up at the back of the grounds on a small wall, the other side of the walkway. The wall of the ground was one side of the walkway, and there was a small wall, like knee high, maybe waist high, on the other side of the walkway, which was the start of the boundary for the school. And then there was a fence. So we threw the flag up to the lads who were on the top of the wall inside the grounds, and they dropped it down to us, and we took turns apiece at jumping off the small wall onto the flag and then being pulled into the ground. And that's how we all got in the ground. But this lad was saying that I asked where this flag had come from, because, you know, where do 20-foot flags come from? You know what I mean? And he reckons it's probably come from the British Legion, which sounds like a good shout. I've always thought it might have come off a boat, you know, just because it's so big, you know, 20-foot flag, you know. But he reckons that we painted it that afternoon. We painted Liverpool across the middle of it. It was a Union Jack, and he reckons we painted Liverpool across the middle of it. And the other story that came out about that, I thought we'd got rid of that, or lost that, or rather bartered that for a bottle of Polish vodka on the way back from Bruges. I went to Bruges 76, and the banner went with us, but I can't remember the banner after that. But I can remember getting this bottle of Polish vodka on the boat coming back off these lads. But I spoke to another of the lads, and he was at Wolves on the Wolves game, and me and him went to the Bruges game, and he said we'd swapped the Polish vodka for a scarf. We'd found a Liverpool scarf somewhere along the way, and that's it. So what became of the Union Jack? I don't know. Yeah.
So is that, you mentioned the Alley Rouge banner, is that the original one then that we still see on the cop that you made?
No. It's no. It was just I was working in St. Helens at the time. I was working with some very clever people. It was a strange job. It was called something like art/media worker. I was a play worker at the time, and I had to stay on the dole 6 months to get this job. And that's what I've done. I've seen it, like, but I didn't qualify because I hadn't been on the dole 6 months, you know. And I stuck it out to be on the dole for 6 months to have a go at this job, just because it sounds interesting. And it was really interesting. We had a thing in St. Helens called Play Resource Centre, and what we tried to do was support community centres and community groups and what have you with after school play activities, you know. So we like one thing, we done a pantomime, and we've done like 10 shows around St. Helens with a pantomime. But I got into like silk screen print and pottery and things like that then, you know. And these people were really helpful with but in that you can see, like, on it, the letter in Alley Rouge runs down the side and along the front. But the lettering is piped, you know, so you have like a border and then the middle's red. And I still hold on to that. I love doing like that. It's twice as much work, but I just think that it's so effective, because one of the principles that I stick by is less is more. So, you know, whatever you're doing with the banner, the less you have on it, the better. You know, that's That's a principle. Anyway, and with lettering, if you do piping with lettering, it's like having 3 letters on it for each letter. You know what I mean? And I just think that it's really good. You see the Houllier one in the grounds? Gerard's heartbeats. Well, that was the same, and that shows you how effective that is. You know. Yeah.
Surely when you're making a banner like Gerard Houllier, you're getting like a pure sense of pride out of that.
Yeah, massive. Yeah. The whole thing is infused with pride. You know, it's all about, you know, the essence of it is, you know, this is who I am and this is what I've got to say. You know, or this is who I am and this is what we do. You know, you're always saying this is me. You know, you can't get away from that with a banner. You know, it's always a reflection of you. But the pride, it's you know, the ooze pride. Yeah, that's part and part. You know, you want to say it as loud, as big, as loud as it's like. You know, you want to say it. You know, as big and as bold as you can. Put it that way. Yeah, but yeah, pride runs right through it all. Yeah, proud to be a Scouser, proud to be a Red. Yeah.
Who comes up with the ideas for the banners then? Is it yourself who comes up with them and then you just put them onto the banner, or do people get in touch and say, like the Gerard Houllier one, for example, because that was up so quick, which is just working day and night to get it done, and like how did you?
The one in the grounds, it was recently.
Yeah.
It was made when he had the heart attack. It was only.
Right.
It was made as part of the Shankly Banner. The original Shankly Banner was made for the last match of the Cup, and it says it's 2 pictures of Shankly with a torrent of trophies running in between them. Same, you know, with his arms outstretched. Thing, and it says around the top, it says all round the grounds, and underneath it said the Cop spirit survives, and it was done in such a way that the letters all round the grounds go in a wave like this, deliberately round the head and round the trophies and what have you. But the bottom piece, the Cop spirit survives, was done in a straight line, so that could be changed. It was deliberately designed to be changed. And so we could say all round the grounds, you know, the referees are gobshite, all round the ground, you know, whatever you want. But it was deliberately done to change. And I think Gerard Houllier was the first change that it was made on. So it says all round the ground, Gerard's heart beats. So what we done was we put that over the original script. And we put a border on all around, so it was even bigger. It was like over 60 foot. It was at its biggest when Houllier had the heart attack. And all around, right round the banner on 3 sides, it had alternately a liver bird and then a heart with GH in, a liver bird and then a heart, and all round, you know, it had a border with all them. And I've still got a few of them here now. You know, got this idea of doing a mosaic one day, but so it wasn't that. It actually took a couple of weeks to do that, and a good friend of mine, Anne McCullough, she done a lot of the work with the artwork for it. But that banner actually goes back to, you know, it's over 20 years old, that banner, and of course when Houllier had the heart attack, when Houllier died this year, I mean. You know, I just have the utmost admiration for that man, and I really do think that he hasn't got half the praise that he deserves, not just for winning trophies, but for what he's done for the club. He come into Liverpool Football Club, and in the nicest possible way, he grabbed it by the, you know, the collar, and he shook it. He shook this, because you know who you are. You know what I mean? He really did. I mean, going down to Cardiff, you know, you're not old enough, Matt, I don't think, but maybe you went with your dad. But, you know, when we went down to Cardiff, I always remember being in Australia. We were in Australia, right? Yeah. In the autumn, the previous autumn. And Liverpool played at Olympiacos. Now, forgive me if I get this wrong, but they were either winning 2-0 or they were getting beat 2-0, but it finished 2-2 in the team and Torrance terrain, right? And I couldn't find the results anywhere. I ended up finding the results in a backpackers hostel near to Botany Bay, and I thought to myself, you know what? This team's got something about them. These team. When we come back, the day we landed at Manchester Airport about 11 o'clock that day, and we were in the ground by 4 o'clock, and Liverpool battered Ipswich that day. And I swear, I remember coming out to the ground and thinking, these really have got something about them, these, you know, meaning Liverpool, like, and they went on, you know, 3 times to Cardiff, and what a season that was, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Cardiff, some of my best memories. It's probably some of the first cup finals I went to with my dad, to be honest. And I think I preferred Cardiff more than Wembley.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know what? It was just, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, maybe I'm blasé about Wembley being too many times, and you know, and a bit past it for the new one. But you know, I don't know which way you went, but when we've been down to Cardiff for the league matches or Swansea for the league matches, I always drive over to Wrexham and drive down the A roads because the scenery is just absolutely stunning. It's fabulous, honest to God. And for Cardiff, all them games at Cardiff, that's what we've done. Down the A41, down to Hereford, over Abergavenny, and into Cardiff. Just fabulous. And in Cardiff itself, you know, it's just absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? You know.
Yeah, I loved it well more than Wembley. Obviously, I haven't been to Wembley as much in my lifetime since we went back there. But when I have been to Wembley, I haven't enjoyed it as much as Cardiff. Maybe because I was so young in Cardiff as well. But even like the outside of the ground, I just felt like there was more atmosphere there, and the drive down as well. Like you said, it's just better than driving to London, being stuck on a motorway the whole way, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why our lads laugh at me, like, because I take them on the, the magical mystery sort of some games, you know what I mean? But especially now, the likes of Cardiff and Swansea, I wouldn't dream of going in the game because I'm fucked driving back, So, but driving back, generally we'll come back, up the motorway just to get on quick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they say, well, that's an early start, how far is Swansea? We don't know what it is.
We've had a question here from Charlie, and it's a good one, to be honest. What is your favourite banner and why? Before you answer that, I think one of my favourite banners from you is the You're Gonna Believers. I think.
Well done, Matt. Thanks, mate.
Honestly, the play on words, and I think it's incredible. I think it's my favourite banner from you myself.
Thanks very much, Matt. Well, I'll back that up. I'll speak to you later over that. My favourite banner. I mean, forgive my indulgence, but I mean, the You're Gonna Believers one, for instance, that sat in my loft for 12 months before it seen the light of day. And that's how long it was that I knew Liverpool were going to win the league. That banner has never seen Liverpool being beat. It went in the grounds every game for 2 seasons running and has never seen Liverpool being beat except in an empty stadium. So that's the thing. And of course, we've got the bit on the end now that says, and now You're Gonna Believe Us, which again was deliberate. I knew it was coming. You know what I mean? But my favourite banner, I think I have to go with my wife's favourite because it just makes she literally chuckles every time it comes up, and it was made in 2008, and it's a question as to whether or not it's even a banner, to be honest with you, because it's not made of cloth; it's only made of paper. You could call it a great big photocopy, or you could call it a poster, or what have you. But to my mind, it was a banner. It was a paper banner. I went through a period of when Gillette and Nixon in charge, where I wouldn't make a banner out of cloth because they weren't worth the cloth the banners are made of. I hated them. I swear I made about 20 different banners for them, some of them on 7 national papers. One of the banners said, which one was it? I can't think. Anyway, there was one of them that was in 7, not wanted, texting 2 acts, not wanted, take your bounty and get out of the club. But my favourite of them was, it was 2008, and it had a header, the way you put a header on an A4 sheet, and the header said, "Cop and Tale of Culture." It said, "Flee forthwith, Foster and friends, for thine fettered finances hath floundered." And I could have done it in a lot less words. I say less is more. Well, this is the one that, the exception that proves the rule, because I could have just once said, "Fuck off, Foster, you fuck." Because it was aimed at Foster Gillette or Foster Hicks, one of them anyway. And he turns up at the Sandon, trying to make mates with the lads out of the Sandon. And and he chased him and his oppos. He didn't even get a pint. And I thought that was that funny. So, well, being capital of culture year, that to bring some kind of culture to it. So, I think that's every time it's mentioned, obviously, God, my wife, she laughed. So, just for the pleasure that it brings in and the torment she has to put up with it. I think that's probably my favourite,
What would you say is your most, like, the one that you've seen the most on terms of, like, marketing, and you've seen people take to the most out of your banners? Because they're all, everyone, even when you scroll through your Twitter, it's just banner after banner. That's just quality after quality. What would you say, like, what people, like, took to the most? Would it be the...
Well, I mentioned it before in a really quiet way, and it can be a bit unnerving as well at times. But the Hillsborough Memorial banner, the remake of the Hillsborough Memorial banner, is what to say? It's just so well known, it was 20 years in the making. It was 20 years of thinking about, I say 20 years, probably 15, because when I made the original banner, I wasn't happy with it looked untidy and out of shape, and I wanted to do it properly, sort of thing. So I started on making stencils and stuff to do the banner properly. And I couldn't do it. I was just breaking down all the time, and, they say you suffer for your art. Well, the art was causing me the suffering, I wasn't processing it very well. And so I said, no, I think I've got to put this away, and let this banner live its life. I said, I'll come back to it in 20 years and have another go. And by the time I come back to it, I'd learnt a few skills, and I'd found my way around and what have you. And and I think I've done a good job of it. Well, it's only half done. Because I think I've done a good job of it. I tried to bring elements into it that you wouldn't normally accept. So the first thing is, the original banner was quite deliberately meant to be touched from underneath. It was meant as an overhead banner. So as the years go by, you realise that maybe that's not the way of this one. This one needs to be touched from the front, because I always touch the memorial. I always put my hand to the memorial so I can feel the names and the ridges in my hands, and speak to the lads. So I wanted, first of all, different textures in it. I wanted it, the way I thought of it was that I want a blind man to be able to read it. So I used a lot of different cloths. So there was different textures to different parts of it. The names are all embroidered on, so they stand proud of the cloth. I had pockets in it. I don't believe that there's another banner. I mean, nobody's contradicted me yet that there's another banner in the world that has flowers in it. And the reason for that was to remember this banner was made for the 20th anniversary. So, the world became a different place the day that this banner was first shown when Birmingham came to Anfield. So remember, it was made as a community banner to try and make the community feel a bit better about the difficulties that we faced, and I wanted to represent the field of flowers in the grounds and the people that has put them flowers in the ground. It's the most beautiful, it's the most beautiful sight I've ever seen in my life. Was that ground the week after the disaster, to walk amongst the tributes on the cop, and that was so I put a couple of pockets in it to show that, so what I've done is I've replicated what they done. They brought flowers to the ground. So what I do is when that banner is shown, I bring flowers to the banner, and then flowers represent everybody who turns up at the ground that week. So and there's still bits that I want to do with it. I swore when we won the Champions League in 2005, of course that banner wasn't made then. But when I do make the new banner, I'll make the back as well. The year we win the Premier League. Well, last year we won the Premier League, and I made the headline. First thing I done with lockdown was I made the headline for the back of the banner, and it says, "There's a golden sky and sweet silver songs." That's just a piece of cloth, 2 meters high. The front cloth is yellow, and then the back cloth is red for there's a golden sky, and silver for sweet silver songs, and the middle is the symbol cambusons, and my favourite symbol in the English language, and I've split that red and thing, and that's what I've done for 2 weeks. My wife was sent home from work, with the lockdown. And I said, right, get on with this now. I've been saving the material for it. And that's what I've done for 2 weeks, running up and downstairs with a coffee and doing this. And it's great. I still have, it'll come round. I've got other things, other things to do. But people might be interested to know, I'm sure they will when it comes round, but I've been asked to display some banners in an exhibition that's going to be happening in the Design Museum in London. They're having an exhibition next April to September, and it's about football, designing football kits and stadiums and all this. And they've asked me to display some of my banners as examples of fan created art, and the memorial banner will be one of them, definitely.
The work that obviously from when you say on a telly, you can't see the work that goes into it in terms of what you, like you've just said, where you can touch all the names and stuff. It's a remarkable tribute, and I bet you were beaming with pride when you're seeing it hanging from the top of the Kop a few months ago. But just seeing Liverpool do that with your banner and the respect that you've made for it.
Yeah, it's you crease me, Matt, you crease me. When the original banner was supposed to be renovated 10 years ago, and it's never happened. Well, I swear now it's not coming out except for Memorial Day. But when the lockdown first happened, the pandemic first happened, I hadn't made my mind up what I wanted to do with the banners on the anniversary. And of course, there was no football. I think it was like the 15th of March. We were locked down or what have you.
Yeah.
And anyway, I asked them, could I display the memorial banner, the original memorial banner, on the cop? And they said, yes, certainly. He said, come in and speak to the ground staff. So I went in to speak to the ground staff, and I can't tell you the detail because it'd be putting people in a difficult position. But anyway, it turns out that the banner was put up, and the first sighting I got of it from the top of the car, the banner's hanging over my seat in mid-air, and I'm looking at the back of the banner, which is never ever seen. And to understand that banner, you really, to understand it properly, you need to see the back, because it tells the tale of 6 weeks. The 15th of April was the worst day of my life. Yeah. But 6 weeks later, it looked like it was going to be the best day of my life, because Liverpool were going to beat Arsenal to win the double. And we were convinced, it's the death and the glory, this. And it was only ever seen once in that form. That was that night, and the back was on the bottom of the memorial banner hanging over the edge at the front of the cop. But of course, they never done the double, so I put it on the back. And when I first looked at it, I'll tell you, my legs went from underneath me. I literally crumbled. And it took me... I had to hold myself up and then get a seat down, you know what I mean? To put the seat down to look at it. And I swear that, it's just astonishing, And then when you see the pictures of it, the photos, it's just phenomenal to see that, because it's hanging in space. It's the idea was that I asked for it to be put up there. I've got to be careful what I say, because I can get, cause some issues for some people, but it's not something that they would readily do. But I was trying to do it in the right manner, and the right way. The right place I thought was exactly where it was. But the only difference was it would have been hanging over the goal, but it couldn't hang over the goal because there's like receptors there, for your phones and that. So that's why it was over to the left a little bit. And as it turns out, it was right above my seat. You know what I mean? But when you see the pictures of it, like it just. In all that space, the idea I had was that it was going to be hanging in a space of its own, like we were all hanging in a space of our own. That's what it meant to be. And the best way I can describe it is to say, I don't like to say that banners get hung, because there's only ragavans and vagabonds and ragamuffins get hung, isn't it? It's like saying, well, anyway, I don't like to say the banner was hung, and I say the banner was displayed between the steps and the roof of the cop, or the banner was displayed between the steps and the sky, because that's the space that it was in. It was deliberately meant that it would represent the space that we were all in. We were all in our own bubble, weren't we, sort of thing. Yeah.
And one of your other banners that is very touching, we've just seen a comment here, it was the Sean Cox banner. Now that was remarkable what the players been holding after, but how did you feel? Obviously, it must have been a great sense of pride making that banner for Sean Cox, but then to see Liverpool holding it in a Champions League semi-final when we've just
blew me hat off. It blew my hat off, Matt. I'll tell you, it blew all credit here to, and I genuinely mean all credit with capital A, capital L, capital L, to Mono from the Spirit of Shankly, because it was his idea to do it. You know what I mean? And but you don't ask, you just make it happen. as per you heard that saying, if you want something doing, ask a busy man. Well, I'm the busy man, so we had to get it together quite quickly. I had all kinds of bus jobs. You know, when I first got the stencils done for it and I worked it out on the Sunday, it would have needed to be 3 meters long to get the original writing on it. So I had to rejig that. He'd only asked me on the Thursday night. On the Friday, he had to get the stencils for it. I had to run around over that. I was supposed to do a thing for Pete Wiley's birthday on the Sunday with my bus. My bus took the knock on the Saturday. I'll tell you, no whether like Liverpool played Stoke on the Saturday dinner time. Check it back. And I give me ticket away because the door system went on my bus. And I was kettled, and I come home and I lay on the couch and watch the match on the couch, and you know, what the fuck am I going to do? Got to make this banner. So anyway, I got on with making the banner, and the match was on the Wednesday. Am I right? It's on the Wednesday. Yeah. That was the Sunday. Well, on the Monday, the Tuesday, I took Tom and the gang down to Stansted Airport. They were going to Rome. And on the Tuesday morning, I took them down there, and I was going to Essex to pick up the memorial banner, which had been used in a school production thing. And the woman lived in Essex, where Liverpool had took it down. And I was just bringing it back, you know. So I went there, picked that up, comes back. I had to sleep in the service station on the way back. And now we're into my birthday. It was my birthday the day before they played Roma on the 2nd. And so I had a kip in the services on the way back. I dropped them. I left our house at 5 past midnight on my birthday. And we got to Stansted Airport, spot on 6 o'clock. So this is the day, right? So coming back, I had to kip in the services. I get back home, say like 2, 3 o'clock or whatever, and then I was on the banner then till tea time, just the tea. After tea, back on the banner, and I was on the banner then till 1 o'clock in the morning, and till like midnight again. It was midnight again, and that was my birthday, right? So midnight, I put the paintbrushes down, leaves the banner on it was in the loft. I was working in the loft when it leaves it on the side because the paint had to dry, and I had to be up at 4 o'clock to take the banner to Hale Wood for Mono to take to the ground, you know, to the match, like, you know what I mean. And a friend of his, I think, what was the fella's name? I know the fella's name, but somebody was at the front on the corner, and he said, "Yeah, I put this banner out." And anyway, they put the banner out, and apparently Henderson was trying to send the stewards over for the banner, and they were looking for the wrong one. They didn't get onto it, but Henderson made a point of, you know, picking out Sean's banner and getting them to display it. Well, the reason I didn't go to Rome was because on the Thursday, I do elections. You know, I do a job on election day, going around checking that the polling stations are all right. So that was on the Thursday. So that's why I couldn't go to Rome. And of course, I sat here watching the match. And next thing you know, my phone's pinging. What's this? You know. So the first thing that comes to mind, I said, you know, I just hope that he gets to see it, you know, and I pray that he gets to hold it, because Sean was he was in a bad way then, you know what I mean? And you know, you just try and do what you can to help, you know. That's what it was. And you know, Mono is the nicest man you could ever wish to meet, and the sentiment is absolutely marvellous. You know, I couldn't refuse. As it happens, you know, it wasn't a very good weekend for me because, you know, my bus had took the knock, and I had to let Pete Wiley down for his bus trip. I had another bus going to Yorkshire. Somebody else was driving another bus for me to take a darts team over to Yorkshire. Well, I'd already battered that off because I had the Pete Wiley job to do, you know. But the likes of that, you've got to react. I've just had a request of somebody else, asking me for a banner, and I haven't got the time. I had a banner. You just got to respond. The current up to date sickness, where you meet yourself coming back. I made a banner for Andrew Devine the other week and put it on the memorial. And then I put it on the memorial in town last Monday. And somebody who I know was up here working sent me a picture of it on Wednesday. And he said, "Is this yours?" I said, "Yeah, that's mine." I explained the story behind it. And on Friday, I took a lad to Crewe. Well, the trouble we had on the M6 on Friday.
Yeah.
I said, "We'll go through the tunnel." So I deliberately went through the old tunnel to point out the banner to him at the memorial. And when I looked over to the memorial, the banner's gone. No sign of it. God knows where it is. So when I come back from Crewe, I come through the tunnel again and went to check it out. And all I could find was the string and a piece of the curtain where it's gonna. But I haven't got the time to do another one. I've got a big job on for Sky Arts for next week, and I'm backing up on myself and getting tuned up doing it, and I'm looking at it now over here, the floor's coming. I'm not kidding you, this room's like a workshop. Just let's see if we can get on that.
Oh my God.
Right, that's our dining room.
Taken over.
Yeah, it's getting silly, Matt, honestly. I'm one short of having a workshop, but that's all for this big Sky Arts job, which is really good because it presents me with a challenge and I'm pushing myself further and finding new ways of working and what have you, which is great and that. But last week, I dedicated a little bit of time to Andrew because we've waited, we haven't waited, but we knew it was coming one day, and it had to be marked. And then, for someone to take the banner down, well, I just presumed that the wind has took it down and somebody's looking after it. But, and I literally, I just don't have the time to do anything about it, to do a replacement, and that's the sickening bit about it. That you feel helpless,
Yeah, because I mean, you'd like to hope that the wind's taking it, especially in this city or something like that. You'd like to think someone hasn't doing stuff, but
yeah.
How hard? I mean, imagine that was very hard for you to get like the memorial banner back out and having to add Andrew's name onto it. Although like you said,
well, I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, I mean, I think I've got a way of doing it. The help that I got in the first place over doing the embroidery banner. Unfortunately, the woman's husband has had bad heart problems in the last week, so I can't go back there, Master. But my sister-in-law is quite good at embroidery and that, so I've got to ask the question of the club about whether Andrew went with any of his friends or what have you. Because I've got to think about placements, where I place his name. And I'd like to place it near to somebody who he knows or what have you. The bottom of each of the cups is free, so I'm thinking probably go on the bottom of one of the cups. And, it's going to be distinctive anyway, putting Andrew's name on it. So I want to ask that question of the club. I mean, the family have kept themselves very much to themselves, and all credit to them. When I first put a picture up of that banner, I paid tribute to the family for the resolve and determination they've shown in supporting Andrew and that. And I said it's dedicated to carers across the country because there's 1,000,001 people and a lot more who do that all the time, and we take it for granted. I mean, yourself, Matt, from the kind of work that you do and support work and that, you just take it for granted, and people are paid the same wage as people who who are collecting glasses in the pub, doing care work and there's millions of people who do care work. I don't know if you've seen the Craftivism programme that BBC put out on iPlayer.
No.
But check that out. Whoever asked about the Sean Cox Banner, check out BBC iPlayer. There's a programme called Craftivism. And and there's a number of people on that, myself included, who put their skills to good use, for good causes. They make, embroidered patches and things like this. And there's a number of people on that who do that to support. They might be supporting somebody who's got Parkinson's disease or something like that. And in the spare time, they make, I don't know, purses or what have you, that they then sell that pays for activities for people with Parkinson's disease go through. Yeah, so, it was people like that were uppermost in my mind when I done the Andrew Banner, because that's what they done. They done a lot of caring, and God bless them for all that they did do for them.
Charlie just said as well, your Jordan Banks tribute banner was really touching as well.
Oh yeah, God bless. Well, you know what? I'm going to go back to them. It was meant for this football club. I got in touch with this football club, and I'm going to go back to them because it never went to his funeral. It was one of our friends who asked, "Is it appropriate?" I said, "Of course, it's appropriate." So anyway, the old club's in for it, and what I've done with Jordan's banner was, I was saying to you before about the piping on the letter, so I put piping on his name in the yellow that was of his own football team. They wear a very light yellow, and as I say, I did ring and try to get in touch, but for one reason or another, we never made contact again afterwards, meaning for the banner to be at his funeral, and we missed it. But before that, I'd already said to the person who commissioned it, Joanne, I said, well, what we'll do is we'll get in touch with his club and we'll make a bigger banner of it. In one way or another, use that banner. It's only 2 meters by a meter. But then, maybe make a banner in the colours of his club and, surround it with, I don't know. Well, I'm going to speak to his club. But, the thing is, I don't like banners to sit around doing nothing. They tend to get me, and that's why I was blessed to see them all on the Cop. Terrible circumstances, but to get all my banners out and see them on the Cop during lockdown, I was absolutely amazed up. Because they got seen. And if nothing else, people know that they're there. They don't even have to see them, but they know that they're there, and they know that them banners are representing everyone. And as it happens, like you said about the Gerard Tourier one, it got more coverage than it's ever had. They all, they've all had an airing, a lot more than what I ever expected them to. Yeah.
Well, like with your banners on the top, when Liverpool won the league, I done a stadium tour with the lad who I work with, and it was amazing to see them all on the Cop. Like, that was, for me, I feel like, although the pandemic, I wish it never happened, it was like once in a lifetime to see all the banners there. And I suppose for you as well, the amount of people who've probably taken pictures of your banners on stadium tours in the Cop, they need to be shown.
That's what the for. That's what the for for people to take pictures and that, for people to enjoy them. And I love the act of actually making a banner. I'd work through how to do it, what's the best way of doing it, because I've got some formulas, you know what I mean? The current one is 2 meters by a meter, and then work from there. Has 6 gold stars on, has a liver bird on, has a flame on. The years that we won the cups are in the gold stars. If people get some pleasure, that's what they're for. The pleasure for me is in the making, is in the working it through and what I think in it through and stuff like that. That's what I enjoy about it. The fidgeting and the thingy, and if people take pictures of and have pictures on their wall, then they're welcome to it. Where I get my nose pushed out is when people make money on it or try to make money on it, and what I mean? It just literally, one fella had a picture of the You're Gonna Believe Us banner, and he's putting it out on Twitter. Would anyone be interested if I make banners? I said, you fucking won't be making nothing out of that, lad. You know, he said, it's been everywhere. I said, yeah, because I fucking chuck it everywhere. So bastards. You know, but you know, I don't know how to make money, Matt. You know, forgive me, but you know, that's not what I'm in it for. And honest to God, I am honoured and proud and privileged and humbled to be asked people to pay me to make a banner. You know what I mean? You know, if you've got nothing, I'll do it for nothing. You know what I mean? But I got to a point at one time where, you know, there's a pint in it for you. Well, you know, if I had every pint that I've been promised, I'd be pissed from now till the day's head up in Burgundy. Honest to God. And I could live to be 210. You know, and it just got that way where, you know, you go, hang on a minute, who's the fucking mug here? You know what I mean? And I got that way where I said, somebody asked me for a banner one time, and I said, yeah, all right. So anyway, I thought, right, I'll get back to him in a week. So I phoned him, sent him a message a week later. Yeah, I've worked out that idea. It'll be this big, that big. The letter's like this, not that. I said, that'll be £150. All right, he said, I'll get back to you. Still waiting.
Yeah, people just expect things as free, and they don't even understand the workmanship that's going behind it. And like, you're probably making next to nothing off them anyway.
This, honest to God, Matt, there's buttons in it, lads. You know, I've got this big job for Sky Art here, and you know, I can start talking telephone numbers, what to pay me, and all that. Like, but if I add it up, I'm not kidding you, that I'll do well to get the living wage out of it, and that's as good as it gets. Yeah. Honest to God, if I add up what I say to people, look. A standard banner to me, 2 meters by a meter, it's £200. It'll take me 20 hours to make, that's £10 an hour. Well, 20 hours to make on a good day, you know what I mean? You know, and that's as close to, you know, a cost analysis as I'll get, you know what I mean? Honestly, what I like about it is that, you know, I've worked through it, so I've worked out different ways of doing things, and now I think I've got I've actually taken it up at another level, actually, with this thingy one. But I think that I've developed a style of making banners. I mean, you asked me to paint a face, and, you know, it won't look like the face that you asked me to paint. You know what I mean? You'll be lucky to get 2 eyes. And, you know, it's not my way, but, you know, I found an interest, and I found a way of working through it that, you know, that I find interesting and challenging, you know, and now I think that I've got to a thing where, you know, there's certain ways that I can work, you know what I mean? Like, if we need a banner for the match, it can't happen this week, full stop. I've got other things to do, and I've got to focus, you know what I mean? But if something comes up, like Andrew, when Andrew died, I had to manage Andrew's passion, because he's been on our minds for 30 odd years. You know what I mean? We all know, anyone who's at the match knows the Andrew's predicament and that. You know, and I was actually at a wedding last week when the idea come to mind of what to say to it. And to me, what the banner says is, this is Andrew's time. This is, you know, we all dreaded the day that Andrew passed. And this year, it's Andrew time. And of course, his initials are AD, which, you know, is time in a different dimension. And so, so you know, that's, so I was able to do that in quick time. I say quick time, still like 15 hours into it, you know, certainly 10. I'm in such a way, but there's no big money in it. There's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, one of you probably your proudest banners, I could probably guess, would probably be the Tommy Lawrence one. Seeing and then getting that draped over his coffin as well. Like, how was that for you? Because I'm assuming you've probably seen him play, and then being able to make a banner for him, and then it being draped over his coffin. Like, surely that was some honour.
No, it's absolutely. It blew my head off. Well, I can't say that. No, that's the Sean Cox one that blew me cap off. But what happened was that the family wanted to put a Liverpool flag on his thing, and people put my name forward. And Howard Gale was a good friend of Tommy's, and he put my name forward to the family. And so, of course, I had to do a drawing, let's say. Well, as it turns out, I had some cloth in my thing, and I'm not telling you the words a lie. It's the best cloth that I've ever had. It's similar cloth. When you see the Chelsea pensioners and they have the red coats on?
Yeah.
It's the same cloth as that. It was recovered from a workshop in Birkenhead who used to make military uniforms, and they closed them down. The Tories closed them down long time ago. And a group called Merseyside Play Action Council, who do support stuff for play schemes and that, they got all the scraps, and I was in the warehouse and seen this, and I said, that'd be good for banners. Well, yeah. So I took it off and I gave them a donation for it. But there wasn't a lot of it. There was the red, there was a navy blue, there was a purple, and there was a black. I've still got them, some of them. The purple I used for my own wedding anniversary once a couple of years ago. But I swore I'm only going to use this cloth for something special. And there was only 2 banners ever made with this cloth because there wasn't a lot of it. And the first one was for Ricky Lambert. Now, I can imagine half of your audience are probably laughing now, Ricky Lambert. But Ricky Lambert wasn't a Liverpool player then. Ricky Lambert was a Southampton player. And he's my mate's son.
Yeah.
And I was out playing golf with his uncle, with Ricky's uncle. He was due to play Carlisle in the Johnston's Paint Trophy final at Wembley. And so he's telling me, they're all going down on the coach and all this and that. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to have to make him a banner. And of course, I goes looking, and I found this cloth. I thought, you know what? This is right, this, Ricky playing at Wembley, that's remarkable. So the first one was for Ricky Lambert, and it said Ricky with about 6 E's doing the Lambert walk. So it was meant to be Ricky. And it had this picture on either end in T-shirt transfer. And again, that was something I'd never done before. I took a chance with that. And the day of the match kicked off at 12:30. Of course, my mate went and on the family coach. And anyway, I'm running around. I think it was 1:45 kickoff actually. I'm shuffling around the house, getting the house straight Sunday morning as you do, and the phone went, and I wasn't quick enough to get at it. Anyway, I finished whatever I was doing, brushing rounds, you know what I mean? Goes to the phone, picks the phone up, and it's Ricky's dad from Wembley Way ringing me. He's on his way into Wembley to watch his son play on Wembley pitch, and he's phoning me. You know what I mean? I rang him back, and he left a message saying, he used to call me Wacker then. Anyone from Kirby calls me Wacker. And he says, oh, Wacker, he said, I just seen the banner, he got it for RG, he said, it's fucking brilliant. He said, thanks very much, fucking amazing over there, lads. He said, we just need a win now. I said, oh, is right, yeah. So I rang him back. Anyway, he answered the phone, and they were made up with it, you know what I mean? Anyway, Ricky scored a couple of goals and man of the match and everything like that, so that was great. So when it come round to Tommy Lawrence's, I knew I had this cloth, I'd spec where it was, you know what I mean? It's one of them, other than somewhere safe. So when I thought, no, this is the thing. And it's going on the coffin, I'm going to work it out. So it gets on the Google and works out the size of a coffin and what have you. What I'm going to do with this, you know what I mean? So anyway, I worked it out. And good enough, the club sent me a logo you know, the old, I call it the 60s Liver Bears,
Yeah.
the oval badge. I thought, I'll do it like that. So anyway, I worked out the picture I was going to do, sent it to the family, like, so they said, yeah, that's great, that, yeah. And it just said Tommy, you know what I mean? But it was, everything was right about it, you know, just worked right. As it turns out, I had about 10 centimetres left of the cloth by the time I'd finished, so I just stitched that up and used them as the ribbons. You know what I mean? That was the last of the cloth, you know. Yeah, but it was significant for me because you know, a couple of things. Lawrence is a family name for me.
Yeah.
For our family, I've got two Uncle Larrys, I've got a brother Lawrence, I've got a cousin Lawrence. You know, Lawrence is a family name. Tommy is a family name. My son's name, Tommy. I've got two Uncle Tommy. Tina's got an Uncle Tommy. I've got an Uncle Tommy, that's right. And when I was a kid, I used to meet a lad at the match who was from Culture. And this lad used to go to the match with a Wrangler jacket on. On the Wrangler jacket was a Scotland badge. And the Scotland badge was Tommy Lawrence's. Tommy Lawrence would give it to him because that's where he was from. So it was like, you know, I say sometimes coincidence is significant. And very much so with that. Well, when it comes to the funeral, I couldn't go to the funeral originally because I was supposed to be doing some filming for some students. And as it happens, we'd done the filming the day before. And they didn't want to do it during the second day. I said, oh, that's great, then I can go to the funeral. And I went to the funeral, mate. You know, they're walking out the thing with walking out the church with the coffin and the flag over it, you know what I mean? And that was the day Liverpool played Huddersfield that day. And I said to everyone I spoke to, I said, listen, I'll put you money, Liverpool will not concede the goal tonight. Because Tommy will see to it, and he never. Yeah, but it was. I'm still in touch with Louise and Tommy's second wife, and as it happens, Tommy's son Stephen, they didn't know about the banner because it come from the other side of the family, you know, his second family. And he asked for a copy. I said, well, I can't have a copy of it. You know, I said, yeah. I'll give you the replica because you can't make a copy of a coffin can.
No.
But you know what I mean? And anyway, it's on them a replica and they absolutely made up. And he's still in touch, Stephen. Stephen was very helpful for the Ray Clements banner. I made Ray Clements a banner this year. It said goalkeeper. But I couldn't get hold of anyone at the club, so it didn't go in the grounds. And good enough, the tribute in the ground was fabulous, wasn't it? The number one at the Spire, fabulous. So I'd done it in the same style as Tommy's and Peter Thompson. You know, you say he was a player that I watched. Well, Peter Thompson died not long after, and Peter Thompson was my hero. And to know that Peter Thompson left this earth covered in my flag just blows my heart.
Yeah.
You know, and that came through, you know, I said to the club, I didn't know anybody, and I said, look, you know, I'll do one like I did for Tommy. And anyway, the family were receptive to it, so I passed it on to the club and they took it up there. And I met Bill Bygroves, the club chaplain. He was at the funeral, he took part of the service, I think. And I met him not long after, and he said, family just blown out. It just absolutely made up for it, you know. Well, you know, I used to say, when Peter Thompson plays for Liverpool, Peter Thompson's me. When I play football, I'm Peter Thompson. You know what I mean? And then years later to do that, you know, it's something else, isn't it? You know, when you start to think about it, yeah. Yeah, but with the goalkeeper, when I was saying Stephen Lawrence made the arrangements over that. My mate Dave Kirby is married to, his friend Suzanne Collins is married to Ray's son, Stephen. In a way, I thought, you know, well, it's just the way it works, you know, the banner ended up on the memorial and didn't actually go in the ground because it was a different thing anyway. It was written the other way around, so it was written wide, lengthways, and it had a badge on either end. So I'm not sure it would have worked as a coffin banner anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it has a liver bird at one end and a Tottenham cockerel the other end. Because you remember he played 10 years at Tottenham. And I remember seeing pictures of his family and all his grandkids were all Tottenham supporters because that's where they grew up, you know what I mean? So, it was quite right. And it turns out, we got a message afterwards through Dave Kirby that Stephen, Ray's son, he's taking a banner home and he's got it displayed in his house. So Dave Kirby wrote a poem for him. I said, well, you tell him if he wants me to finish it off with all his honours, I'll paint all his honours on it. And Dave wrote a poem when Ray passed away. I said, now put your poem on the banner as well. So that might come to pass, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done one for St. John and all, the Saints. Yeah, and that's done in a similar style as Peter Thompson and Tommy Lawrence. That went in the grounds. Yeah. But it's immense pride, It's not so much, I'm saying immense pride. What I feel is that I feel like I've offered some comfort to people, you know what I mean? So that people feel a little bit better. So, it softens a little bit of the pain that you feel when you lose someone and that, And I like to think that if it makes you look at the people go, look at that, put a flag on his coffin. That's that little comfort, isn't it? That people feel, about people think. So that's mostly, I feel glad to have offered some comfort. That's my first feeling about it. Yeah.
You've done the families proud, you've done Liverpool Football Club proud, and you've done the city proud, Peter. I mean, legend gets banded about a lot these days, and you are a legend. I've told you before. The pictures of your banners don't do it justice. I mean, when you're in the ground and you can actually see them, that's
yeah. I don't think they do, and that's part of that's part of the problem for me. Is the way the world is. It's become televisualized, hasn't it? And it's so easy to throw up a picture on a thing. But I make real banners. I don't make minis or whatever they call them. You know what I mean? And it's just an age thing. It's just the times that I've lived through. And you're always like people. One of the things about it is that people don't realise the scale of the ground. You know what I mean? You just don't. The scale of the ground. If I make a banner, I'm working on a banner in this house, and I'm working on these ones for the Sky Arts now, and they're 3.5 meters long, which is 12 foot, and I'm working on a table which is 2 meters by, it's not even a meter, it's a kitchen table, you know what I mean? So scale for me when I'm working on them is that, I can get 5 meters from the oven door to this wall here. 5 meters, you know what I mean? I can get 1.5 meters wide. Well, to give you an idea of how big that is, that's only half the size of You're Gonna Believers.
Oh my God.
So, and You're Gonna Believers is nowhere near the biggest. The Shankly Banner with Gerard Houllier on is the biggest I've done. That was 60 foot by 25 foot, So imagine trying to do that on here. And that's the problem that I've got now is that, I've become too big for my own boots. I just showed you the room. I've got a space in the loft, but I only last half an hour in the winter because it's freezing. Only last half. Well, I went up there the other week to do this one. 10 minutes I lost it. I was sweating. I just can't, it was a good idea at the time. I've got the boards up. I've got a 10-foot spread, 12 foot actually, And I was thinking these banners would be ideal on there, but you know what? You can't work. It's too hot. It's too, you know what I mean? And I'm one short of a workshop. Somebody's offered me a space that I'm going to make use of. I've got a couple of ideas that I think are going to put a smile on some faces in the grounds in this next year. And one of them I'm going to do in this workshop that I've been offered. It's going to be my first one because they've offered me a space with 5 meter table by 2 meter table. Well, that's ideal for one of the banners that is going to hit the cop soon.
Speaking of that, Charlie's commented again, asking, is there any new banners that you can let us know about that we can expect to see on the clock this season?
Yeah, there is, but I can't let you know about them because they're completely against the rules and regulations of the ground, and not therefore the advisory to be spilling the beans just yet. No, there's honestly, I've got a couple of banners that. Well, I think there's going to be a banner. How can I say it without telling you? There's going to be a banner seen in that ground next year that will put a smile on every single face in the ground when you see it.
Wow.
But I can't, that's as much as I can say. So when you smile, when you see this banner and you smile, say to yourself, oh, that's what he was on about. You know what I mean? I wondered what to do. I was going to take the pandemic banners in for the minute silence before the first game, but then Andrew died. So the minute silence before the game is being dedicated to Andrew. So them banners, unfortunately, won't get the air that I was expecting. I made a few champions banners that never really got seen the way that they should have done. The big champions one that I done said Liverpool champions in stars, like the 19 stars on said Liverpool champions in the stars because it was written in the stars. That's about 10 metres long by metre and a half high. That never got seen, but you know what? I just had to follow it through. You know what I mean? Get the job done anyway. You know what? I'll paint the back of it one day. You know what I mean? Put something else on it. But what tends to happen? It isn't planned like that. Like now I'll decide I'll do this, that, and the other further on down the line. It tends to be a reactive thing that you react to the moment. I said before that one of the principles is less is more. Well, another principle about banners is that they're very much of the moment, And having said that, I am more and more planning banners. I don't know if people have seen the ones in the JD shop for the display for the new night kit last year.
Yeah.
Well, I done the banners there, and that was something that really made me proud. I took my mum down to see them because that was brilliant. And they were done. It said Campione Liverpool, and in between was a line of stars. Again, they were 10 foot high, 3.4 meters by 40 centimeters wide. Had to be everything they do is done by the millimeter. But I had to do drawings for that. And they asked for me original drawings because they were going to cut and paste it, to make a mock-up and all that. Well, of course, I had it like on the back of an envelope. Well, it's going to be so many letters this wide, there'll be that high, and it's all like little suns and little stars, you know what I mean? In the end, the woman who was organising, she asked me, could she have the original drawing? Because it was a standing joke amongst them. You know what I mean? Because literally like the back of an envelope, oh yeah, it'll be this big, we like that. You know what I mean? I just put it in my laptop bag and anyway, I lost it. But when they come back to me later on, said, oh, we want to do something different. Can you do it like this? I thought, oh, I'll have to do this properly. This is before she said anything about having a first draw. I thought, oh, I'll do this to scale, by the way, I'm doing it properly. So more paper, I'm proper done it to scale, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put the letters in and all that, put a bit of colour in and all that. Well, when I went to see them putting the banners up, you have this book of where everything should go. So they're laying the shop out completely you know, they had like as if it was a bedroom, little figures on shelving and stuff like this, and they completely laying the shop out, putting vinyl on the elevators and all this and that. And they had this book, about 25 pages, of where everything goes and, you know, how it should fit and all this and that. Like, and the first thing in the book was my banners. And it's saying, you know, these banners are there by Peter Carney and local artists. And what they're saying was that they had Kurtis Jones in the front as well, one of the local women players.
Yeah.
And what they're saying is that they're putting my banners out front because they represent the people on the street, the local people, and that Kurtis Jones. Fucking hell, there's something else, that, isn't it? And I asked him, should I take Coach? He said, oh, no, we can't take them, the copyright. And I spoke to the lad since and I asked him, could they have a thing? But he's never got. Well, I'm going to have to get back to him now because I need it for this design museum, you know, for me write up. For that, like, you know what I mean? But what I was thinking was, when you see something in a shop window, it's Christmas, isn't it? You know what I mean? So it says down one side Campioni's, on the other Liverpool, and down the middle are all these stars that, you know, and a great big one in the middle with representing the World Championship, you know, with about 10 arms on it. You know what I mean? It's on in gold and silver and all this. And that's what I was thinking of. This is Christmas. You know what I mean? They put it on the league, it's Christmas. So, yeah. So when it come round, I got the banners back. They kept the Campioni one. So I've done another one, similar style with Champions. And then I put them 3 banners up as home bakes at Christmas. So that they didn't become Christmas banners.
I've got a picture of it here. I can put it on screen for anyone watching.
Have they all made that? Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, they are. Look at that. And you see that glass runs at right angles, you know, where the banners are.
Yeah.
So it was like going in one of them kaleidoscope rooms at the fair. You know, you look at the banners and you see it 3 times. Yeah. Yeah, but that was the idea, to make it look like Christmas, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, but you know, that is really where you know, I proper had to think about what I was doing. Like I say, everything that they wanted, the measurements were in millimeters. And then when we got down there, it was a good job I did staple them, because they had no way of fixing them to the thing. The fella's staple gun got broke. We ended up going up to the office and pinching all the drawing pins out of the office. Just to get it up, yeah. But that was dead interesting, that, you know, to watch them fit the shop out. They're there over there, like, I was there till like 5 o'clock in the morning waiting for them to, because my banners were the last thing to go in the thing, you know what I mean? They have to set all the windows up and all that. Fella putting vinyls on the elevator and dressing this room upstairs. It was brilliant to watch them, you know what I mean?
But before we do go, I want to touch on your Soccer in the City that you're involved in. What is that? I don't know what that is.
Okay, Soccer in the City is a tour of Liverpool based on football. So what we do is we start off at St George's Hall and then tell stories. We go from St George's Hall up to the grounds in 2.5 hours, and we tell stories about where different places relate to football. So we talk about Shankly with his arms out in '74, and just relate the place and the people to football. You know, it's a good laugh. It's educational. It's informative. It's a bit awkward this year because my buses took the knock. It had problems the week before pandemic started, and it's never been righted. And because of the pandemic, I've had no money to sort it out. It's just parked up. It's going to end up in the auctions. So we went to Norwich yesterday in a hired bus. So for the next 12 months, I've just got to, you know, make do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to advertise the tour, but they'll have to be booked because I've got to hire a bus. You know what I mean? So I'll be doing the guiding. I won't be doing the driving. I used to have an assistant, Damien Cabannery, used to do all the talking in the back, you know, while I was driving. Well, this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take bookings for it. And if I haven't got enough bookings by the Wednesday, then it won't happen because I can't afford to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I'm going to keep it going. You know, it will happen again. I've got to take a 12-month break because I've got no money. You know, I'm getting little banner jobs, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I've got enough. I've got plenty. You know what I mean? But I haven't got the money to go out and pay £6,000 or £7,000 to have this bus done up, you know. So I've just got to bodge my way through the next 12 months. And then I'll see where I'm up to then. I might buy another bus. Yeah.
Get it back on.
So it will be about, and the website will be sorted out. I got let down over doing the website. It's the worst website in the world. And I get 10 emails a day of people about how they can put me top of the Google list. You know, I spend as much time deleting their messages as I do, you know.
One of my favorite things about your website is, though, it's not what you'd expect to see on any other website. The way you put like who we are and our tours, and it's like it's written as though Scousers speak, and I think that it's unique to it, isn't it? And it just shows like when they're coming on the bus, that's what they're getting. They're getting
yeah. Well, I try, that's what, you know, that's what I tried to do. But somebody said they could make a website for me because they'd done one themselves, and I'm still waiting. Well, you know what? I've got things to do, Matt. You know, you know what I mean? It's just try and keep moving. I get angry and I get bitter and I get twisted and I get upset and I get frustrated and like anyone. But I always try and keep moving. So I've got other things that, you know, I've really struggled to deal with this pandemic, I'll be honest with you. But as it turns out now, no, I've got plenty to do. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, my tour is the last thing, and the website, you know, well, it never happened, so there you go. You know what I mean? So I'll get on with other things, yeah. But it will be happening. I will be putting I will be putting tours on. I thought of doing a couple just for local people, you know, but I can't. I'm sorry, I've got plenty to keep me going and what have you. But I can't be paying out for buses that, you know, I can't be paying for the tour to cost me money. That's just foolish, isn't it? You know what I mean? But it will be up and running again. But I mean, I would say to people, keep an eye out for that thing in the Design Museum next year, because that's going to be, well, anyone who's interested in football is going to be interested in that. And I just had an email off them the other day with their proposal of what banners that they want to put up. You know, I gave them a proposal and then they've edited that sort of thing. Yeah. And I'm thinking through, you know, how to manage that, you know, because obviously I want to tell the full story, whereas they just want to tell edited highlights, you know. Yeah. But that's a great honour. You know, the best way I can describe it, when anyone, oh, that's brilliant, I say, no, fucking fabulous.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then it is, honest to God, it's fucking fabulous.
It's amazing. Yeah. We've been chatting for nearly an hour and a half. We have to let you go. Nice one, though, for coming on, your stories.
Thanks for having me. No, thanks for having me. It's honestly, well, it's just nice to gab, you know. I need a lot more company than what I've been getting, and I appreciate you asking me. But it's nice to be able to explain as well, you know. Some people can say, "Oh, well, this is what he said about this and that," you know. And people understand a little bit better about what I'm up to and you know, how I go about myself.
Yeah, I think for many fans, they'll be the same. Like, for me, it was like finding out all the stories from the banners. And I think every fan's always thought, I wonder how that come about. So it's fantastic to hear backstories.
If anybody has any questions about that, you know, I'll be glad to answer them. You know, I had a couple of questions earlier on this year, which really give me a big lift, to be honest with you. And what it was, they were two Open University students. One person was looking into the history of banners, trade unions and all stuff like that. And she had some really interesting angles. She's obviously thought it through, you know, about the Hillsborough Memorial banner. And so I had to sit down and explain myself properly in writing, you know what I mean? So, and that helps me, that makes it feel better, makes me feel better about it, because then, you know, this is what I was thinking of. And it still makes sense when I put it on paper, You know what I mean? So that was really helpful, and it was really helpful for me to think that somebody considers my banner worthy of a bit more investigation and looking on the internet and what have you, as part of a study of trade union banners. And the other one was a lad from Swindon, and he was just fishing, looking for information about the banner because he was interested in Liverpool. And it turns out the backstory was absolutely fantastic. 18 months earlier, he couldn't read and write. He had a terrible childhood and all this and that, and I thought, God, blimey, that's absolutely brilliant. And again, he was asking me questions, so I felt like, I was contributing to somebody's personal growth there, you know what I mean? Where somebody was, he was doing social studies and wanted to look at the Hillsborough disaster, and he picked up on the banner through that, you know what I mean? And then he's asking me about, and you go, oh, yeah. So thanks, lads. It's nice to get the chance to explain what I'm up to.
Yeah, don't forget to like the video and stuff. And you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Google. If you're watching it live now, it's on Spotify from Tuesday. From me, Daz, and Peter. Nice one for listening, and as always, up the Reds.
Thanks, lads.